Today we're talking Instagram. More specifically, we're talking about how to create an Instagram account that is an important part of your overall marketing plan. So how does an Instagram account be more than just a place for posting pictures? Well, it has to be strategic, it has to be intentional, it has to be consistent. My name is Jason Bauman, I'm from Boxless Media, and I want to talk to you today about really taking your Instagram account to the next level. I already kind of mentioned three of those keywords, those marketing keywords that are most relevant to Instagram. And I want to go over those before we even hop into any of the specific tactics we use to bump up your Instagram account. So we're going to start out with those three keywords. The first word is strategic. Your Instagram account has to be strategic. Any part of your marketing toolbox that you're using, any tactic has to be strategic. It has to be working towards a goal. So if you're just posting online and you're hoping you're gonna get some business out of it, that's not good enough. You have to make sure that anything that you do on Instagram or any of your social media accounts are working towards, a business goal that you've predefined for that platform. Also, Instagram has to be intentional. So sometimes people say, well, it's great to get these candid chats around the office. And it might be. It might be good because you want people to see your company as real people. But that goal is intentional. So the decision to feature those kind of pictures is intentional. So you want to make sure that whatever you post on your Instagram account is something that's intentional and that's lined up with your strategic goals. Finally, your Instagram account has to be consistent. Every aspect of your Instagram account, the fonts that you feature in the pictures, the type of photography, the type of videography, the filters you use, all those different aspects have to come together as one consistent image and then move forward towards advancing your goals or creating your Instagram account that moves along your strategy. So your Instagram account, in order for it to be successful, what are the three goals? It has to be strategic, it has to be intentional, and it has to be consistent. So now let's actually talk about creating your Instagram strategy. We're going to start out by creating or defining the goal for your Instagram account. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to are you trying to reach a specific demographic? Are you trying to, solicit purchases? Are you trying to share a specific type of information, create yourself or position yourself as a thought leader? So these are some goals that might make sense for your business, but the first thing you really have to do is go ahead and define a goal specifically for your Instagram account. That may or may not be different than your overall business goal, but you have to have a goal for your Instagram account. And remember that Instagram is only one of the many tools that you may have in your marketing toolbox. So Instagram might be a place where you want to designate all your energies towards reaching a certain demographic. So going ahead and defining that goal for your Instagram account is important. Then you have to go on and define your audience. So who on Instagram are you trying to reach? Are the people that you're trying to reach on Instagram? And if so, which we're hoping, then it's go ahead and start defining or further defining your audience online. What do those people look like? Are they young? Are they older? Are they male? Are they female? Or are they, what kind of online behaviors do they have? What kind of age group? What geography are they from? So going ahead and kind of really identifying those traits of your audience is critically important. Next, we want to go ahead and define and establish a look and voice for your Instagram account. So the look being, how are all my Instagram pictures going to come together to create one image? So am I going to use a more vintage or more contemporary look? Am I going to look a more polished or more organic look? So going ahead and trying to put together a bunch of words that would describe each one of your future posts is important. So you're defining, you're establishing a look and a feel and a voice for your Instagram account. Next, you want to take your audience and you want to go out there and do some research and you want to find out what kind of content the people in your audience is looking for. What are those audience members, what are they looking for? Are they looking for videos? Are they looking for pictures? Are they looking for tutorials? Going ahead and doing that research first so that you can better guide your further or your later on posts would be a great first step. Finally then, after you've got a lot of that initial research done, going ahead and creating your bio. So a lot of times what I see is someone goes online and they decide to create their bio, and they just go, oh, good, this is the logo that I have in my logo folder. This is the name of our company. This is our main website. You know, I think what you need to do is really put some thought into it and answer those questions before you even start looking at your profile. So let's talk about that profile or that bio section of Instagram. We're gonna start out with your display picture. More so than often, if you have a business, a lot of times your display picture is your logo. It could be some cool treatment of your logo, maybe your logo on a cool background that changes monthly with some kind of theme, but it usually should be your logo, so people start to see your logo every time you comment. People see it in search, so that logo starts to build up some kind of recognition. So creating that first display picture is important. If you're a business, it's probably a logo. If not, if you're an individual, it could be your picture or it could be something else. If it's your dog, like the best Beagle and Brooke, then it should be a picture of your dog. So I'm going ahead and creating that first picture is important, that display picture. Next, you want to enter your company or brand name. And that seems pretty obvious. For 9 out of 10 people, it's extremely obvious. You just put your brand name. But there are occasions when you might want to set up an Instagram account for a long-lasting campaign or something like that, where you might want to think about naming your Instagram account something slightly different than your business name. But once again, if you do that, it should be perfectly intentional and strategic. So making sure that you're making that choice defined, based on a strategy. Next, you want to create your handle, make sure your business name is available, and making sure it's easy to remember, making sure it's easy to say, and making sure it's easy to share. So sometimes people come up with these handles which are like _best-digital_marketing-company. You know, those aren't really easy to share. They're not easy to put on someone's printed literature. So you gotta make sure that whatever you create, that handle that you use, is easy to remember, it's easy to say, and it's easy to share with people. Next, you have to add a link for a website. Now, most people would say, okay, I want to add my company link. So our company website is boxlessmedia.com. So should I put boxlessmedia.com? Well, yeah, that's a good place to start. But another option would be, there are services like Linktree, which is linktr.ee, that offer services where you can take one link, put it in there, and then have that explode into several other links when they click on it. So it gives you the option where you can send people to different locations. So think about when you're adding that link, do you want to send people to specific pages on your website or just your website? That's a strategic decision that should be made on behalf of every company individually or every Instagram account individually. But there are really two options: either your company website as a whole, or a secondary location site where you can list several different locations. Next is the category. And something to think about with a category is really being intentional about your exact category that you're on there. Are you a marketing agency? Are you a consultancy? Are you something else? So making sure that you actually fit the exact category that Instagram prescribes is important. Next, you have an opportunity to add call to action buttons, and I highly recommend those. It's another way to kind of beef up your Instagram profile, so making an opportunity for people to call or get in touch with you in a different way. So checking out those call to action buttons is something that could be, that'll help you kind of boost up or create a more robust biography on your Instagram account. Finally, something that I really like and I think sets apart a lot of great companies from average companies are the story highlights. And the story highlights, if you look at this image below, or next to me, you'll see our Boxless account. You'll see that we have a couple highlighted circles that take some of our best stories and put them into categories. So story highlights are really a way to kind of make your profile look bigger and more polished. So check out story highlights. It's something that I think you should really look into and include as part of your biography. Okay, so that's the Instagram bio. Now let's talk about actually getting in and creating the best Instagram posts. First of all, I say this with every video that I do about posting online, never rush a post. So take your time, be very strategic, be very intentional, and be very consistent with your post. If you're rushing and you lose one of those three options, you're gonna have a problem. So make sure that you kind of slow down, make sure you create that perfect post before actually posting that online for everyone to see. What are the elements of a great post? It's gonna start out basically with your photography or your videography. After that, there's the written content. I'm gonna give you one really quick piece of advice on that. Take the lead from Twitter 1.0 and learn how to write tight. Next, there's the hashtags that you include, and finally the comments. So those are basically the elements of a great post. Last part of that I would kind of consider would be also the time in which you post. So it's important to move away from what time is it convenient for me to post to what time am I going to get the most bang for my buck out of the post, or when am I going to get the most impact, when am I going to get the most engagement. That's what the best time to post is, not the time that's most convenient for you and your schedule. So those are kind of the elements of the perfect Instagram post. So let's go into each one of those elements in a little bit more detail. We're going to start out with the photography and the videography. First of all, photography. Really on Instagram, quality matters. People, that's the first impression they see is the picture on your Instagram account. So as they're scrolling up and down their phone or online, usually their phone, they're gonna see that picture first, and that picture is gonna be what stops them from scrolling and directs their attention to your post. So making sure it's a high quality, well thought out picture is important. Make sure that picture is consistent with things you've done in the past. So you want people to see your post and say, oh, that looks like all the other Boxless posts, or that looks like all the other posts from that brand. So making sure that it's consistent across the board is important. So your photography, when it comes to consistency, the style should be consistent. The framing that you use should be consistent. I like to put people off to the left a little bit, or I don't want to center every option, or I want to leave a lot of space between the main subject and the background. So those are some framing options. So making sure that your framing is always consistent from post to post is important. And then finally, if you're going to use a filter, make sure you use that same filter every time, and it becomes part of the definition of your photographic style. So if you want things to look very vintage with a little vignette on it, so it's important to go ahead and pick those styles, pick those filters, and kind of build them into one overall artistic look and feel for your posts, so that every time someone sees one of your posts, they're going to know it's a post from your brand, from your company. Okay, next, videography. If you're not doing a photo, you're probably doing a video. What's the timing on that video? Is that video gonna be less than a minute? Is it a video that we're gonna have to push off to IGTV? So, making sure you understand the timing of your video is important. The style of your video. Is it gonna be a green screen type video? Is it gonna be a more organic video where you're shooting it in your office or on the streets or something like that? What's the style of that video? Is that video consistent with your other videos and other posts on your page? Do they all come together as one consistent brand is really important. And then finally, the on-screen graphics that you use. You want to make sure those on-screen graphics are the same as the on-screen graphics that you use in perhaps your posts or in other collateral online. So maybe if you use a specific font on your website, use that same font in your imagery, your photography, any kind of on-screen graphics that go above your photography or above your videography. So that's the first part. So really the main part of your content, your photo or your video. Next, we got to talk about the words, the written content that go with it. Now, I want you to take the example or take the lead from Twitter 1.0, I like to say. I want you to write tight. I want you to write very succinctly, because what Instagram does is they cut off a lot of your words and they make you click on that read more button so you can see more of your content. Generally, people don't want to click on those read more unless they're very engaged or very into your post. So if you can write in as little characters, the main message is in few characters possible, you're going to be more impactful. So keep that character count on a post down to about 125 to 150 characters. If you're doing an ad, do not go beyond 125 characters. People aren't going to get that into your ad unless they're really engaged somehow. So you want to make sure that you can get your messaging across to the biggest population possible. And so that's why it's really important to be able to write very succinctly, or as they say in the industry, write tight. Hashtags, push those hashtags down a little bit or put them in your first comments. I think they get sometimes aesthetically annoying to people. So if you can go ahead and kind of push those hashtags down or put them in the first content, I think that in the first comment, that kind of helps out. Once again, the voice or the way you write your words should be consistent with the style of even your photography or videography. So if you're a very formal photography or very formal videography, then maybe the words that you use should be used in a formal voice. Whereas if you're a little bit more casual, your photography is more fun, then you could use a little bit more casual wordings. So going ahead and making sure that the voice that you write the words in matches kind of the overall style of your Instagram account, especially when it comes to your pictures, your videography, and the written word all coming together as one. Next, let's talk about hashtags. I think I've been in this industry for over 10 years and I don't feel like anyone ever really gets hashtags except for social media people, but they are important. They are a way of bringing communications together, similar communications together, and categorizing them in one area. People use that on Instagram. They're insanely important. So you can include up to 30 on Instagram, but don't use 30 hashtags. It's extremely annoying. So we recommend using maybe 5 or 10, making sure that those hashtags are either relevant to that specific post or your industry or niche. So making sure that you are actually relevant in one of those two areas. Just because something is more popular, just because Obama endorsing Biden is popular right now on Facebook and is trending right now on Instagram, doesn't mean that we need to put that on there if we're talking about social media. So making sure that your social media, or so that your hashtags are relevant to your industry or your post, is critically important. And don't go ahead and hijack trending hashtags. But it is also important, on the other hand, to use and embrace those trending hashtags to gain some views on your post. So if you have a post that is relevant to a trending hashtag, absolutely include that trending hashtag to kind of give you a boost in your numbers. Next part that I consider to be part of a post is the comment, because people don't usually think about that. They post and then they let it go. But it's really important to go ahead and engage with the people who are commenting on your website. Someone congratulates them, thank you for, tell them thank you. If someone asks a question, answer that question. So go ahead and engage with the people who are commenting on your post. And remember to engage in your brand voice. So if you have a very specific style of talking or writing, to make sure you use that same style when it comes to commenting on people's comments. So finally, just generally, people who are on Instagram want to stay on Instagram. So if they go ahead and leave a comment that asks for further discussion, recommend a DM or something like that. Don't say call us or email us. People want to stay on the platform that they're on. So making sure you stay on Instagram, recommend a DM or something like that to kind of keep that conversation going if you need to. That's an important part of the commenting process. Final part of posting, I think, is the timing. And I mentioned earlier in this presentation that it's important to post when you think you'll get the most engagement. So when are people who are on your website engaging with posts? Don't just make up an answer to that question. A lot of people will tell me that. They're like, oh, it's in the afternoon after they get home from work. Well, do you know that? We were just working on with a big customer, and I had always thought, Saturday wasn't a great day for posting. And all of a sudden I'm looking at the analytics and I see that their best day on social media by far across every platform was Saturday. So it kind of comes back to the point where use the analytics to see. Instagram will tell you, and there are analytic programs that work with Instagrams that will tell you when the best times are to post. Use that information to actually create the timing on your pages that makes sense. So going ahead and posting when you're going to get the most engagement, the most views is important, and not posting when it's just convenient for you to post. Hootsuite did a really interesting study. I'm going to put some of those categories really quick on the screen right now, but it kind of broke down across all of their customers by industry. What are some of the best days to go ahead and best days and times to post in specific industries. So pretty interesting, talking about, in the world of education, it might make the most sense to post on Thursdays between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. or in travel and tourism, Friday afternoon or Friday morning from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. is a great time to post. So Hootsuite did that kind of study. It's kind of interesting to see. Look at some of that data. Look at the data of your audiences and kind of see what the best time is and come up with a schedule based on that timing. Next I want to talk about, we talked about posts a little bit. Instagram stories are really important too. Stories started out in Snapchat, but right now Facebook stories and Instagram stories are outperforming Snapchat stories. So it's really important to come up with an option or a plan for Instagram stories. Instagram stories are really popular. People see them, they view them first. So I think it's important that you come up with a strategy and leverage those stories to help build your brand. Once again, those stories should also be strategic. They should also be intentional, and they should also be consistent. So making sure you're kind of keeping that same theme, that same style, and that same voice in your story is important. Think about timing again. When's the best time to post a story? Sometimes it's better to post stories earlier in the day so they last throughout the day. It makes a little more sense. Make sure that your stories are polished, even if that voice is casual. Remember that intentionality aspect. Everything you should be doing should be done for a reason. So if you're a casual brand, that's fine, but make sure that they are put together. They're really put together or polished, even in a casual flavor, I think is important too. Finally, your best stories should be put together and saved into the story highlights. So that story highlights is a really good way of beefing up your Instagram profile. So making sure you take your best stories and putting them in your story highlights is important. All right, so that's your bio, that's some information about creating the perfect post, and then some story information. What are some just general tips to getting the most out of your Instagram? First of all, first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to follow Instagram's account and their blog, because they continually put out more information about new features, about stories, about IGTV, advertising, and other things that will help you take advantage of some of their new platform features that will help you kind of set yourself ahead of some of your opposition. So follow the Instagram account, follow the Instagram blog, and really get to know and remember things that are or get to know new things that are happening with Instagram so that you can be a little bit ahead of your opposition. Next, think about collaborating with influencers that are right for your business. So if there's someone who your audience may respect, try to build a partnership with that person. But remember, not all influencers are perfect for your account. So you can collaborate with a bad influencer and you can ruin your reputation online very quickly. So what I like to say is don't collaborate with anyone you wouldn't want to introduce to your biggest clients. So if I'm thinking about partnering with someone and getting some shared posts with an influencer, I want to make sure that I would be proud to bring that person to my biggest client and introduce them as part of my company. And I think if you set that standard, you'll know that, okay, these are the right influencers to partner with. And then go ahead and create some kind of partnership with them. Make sure that you engage with others online. So beyond just your profile, go to other people's, look at their posts and engage with them. That's critically important. Engage with some of those large accounts that show up in the Explore area. So go to those accounts that have more than 1 million followers and engage with them so people will see your account. And then finally, make sure that you're always analyzing what you're doing on Instagram and making sure that you're getting a return on what you're investing into your Instagram account. All right, last thing I want to talk about is some content ideas that you could use that might make sense for you if you're trying to build a great business Instagram account. So perhaps product photography would make sense if you sell something. Or for example, take pictures of your company behind the scenes. Give them like that view of your company that not everyone gets to see. You know, find out what some of the employees are like outside of work, or give them an opportunity to get to know the people who they work with on a daily basis in a different context. So kind of giving the behind the scenes view of your company is important. Think about tutorials. Tutorials can be really interesting on Instagram because you can use that swiping feature. So you can show like step 1 and then swipe to step 2 and then swipe to step 3. So it could be kind of an interesting option of using Instagram in a little bit different way. And then show off your workspace, your community, where you're from, and how you guys do work. I think those are some ways where people would like to see into your company. People generally don't want to work with companies. They want to work with people. And the advantage that Instagram has, it's a very people-focused, imagery-focused platform. So I think if you give people a glimpse of the companies that they're working at from the people's eyes, I think you will be successful in Instagram. We've got a lot of tips on Instagram. I encourage you to check out our Ice Cream Social series that happens every Friday with Shannon O'Leary. She offers some great Instagram options or advice, so check those out. If you have any questions, you need some help with your Instagram account, consider calling us at Boxless Media. You can visit us online. You can drop a comment in our video. We'd like to hear from you.